What if I told you that according to research, over 80%, and in some studies, as many as 95% of American adults are walking around with levels of a critical brain-protecting nutrient so low it puts them in a higher risk category for cardiovascular events? Many of you, trying to do the right thing, are turning to fish to fix this. But there's a silent danger. The very food you believe is protecting your mind could be introducing a potent neurotoxin that your body, after 60, struggles to defend against. The rules have changed, and the fish you ate at 40 is not the same for your body at 70. You've been told your whole life, eat more fish, it's good for your heart, it's brain food. And you've listened. According to the CDC, adults over 60 are the most consistent fish eaters in the country. You're trying to do everything right, to protect your health, to maintain your independence, to keep your mind sharp for your family and for yourself. But what nobody tells you is that after age 60, your body undergoes a series of profound metabolic shifts that change the way you handle the very foods you eat. Your kidney function, your body's master filtration system, naturally begins to decline. Studies show that after age 40, the glomerular filtration rate, the measure of how well your kidneys filter waste, can decrease significantly with each passing decade. At the same time, your liver, the primary organ for detoxification, also becomes less efficient at what's called first-pass metabolism, which is its ability to neutralize toxins before they enter your bloodstream. This means that toxins, like the heavy metals found in certain fish, are not cleared from your system as quickly. They linger longer, and they accumulate to potentially more dangerous levels than they would have just a decade or two earlier. This is the critical piece of the puzzle that most mainstream health advice misses. A quick note. This video is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice. Always consult your doctor before making changes to your health regimen. In this video, we're going to cut through the confusion. I will reveal the 4 toxic fish that, according to bodies like the FDA and EPA, you should strongly consider avoiding after 60. More importantly, I will then share the 4 healing fish that are not only safe, but are packed with the nutrients your body is crying out for to protect your brain, strengthen your muscles, and safeguard your independence. And you'll want to stay until the very end, because the #1 best fish on our list is a true powerhouse. A landmark study in the journal Neurology linked regular consumption of this type of fish to a staggering 41% reduction in the risk of Alzheimer's disease for some individuals. We'll break down exactly what it is and how to prepare it. Before we dive into the danger list, what's the one fish you eat most often? Is it salmon? Tuna? Cod? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one, and your answer helps me create more videos like this. Let's begin with the fish you should strongly consider removing from your plate. Counting down from number 4. The 4th most toxic fish for seniors is tilefish, specifically from the Gulf of Mexico. It's often sold under more appealing names like golden snapper or golden bass, and it has a mild, sweet flavor that makes it seem like a harmless, even gourmet choice when you see it at the fish counter. But for an aging body, this specific type of tilefish presents a serious metabolic concern. The Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, explicitly places tilefish from the Gulf of Mexico on its choices to avoid list because it contains some of the highest levels of mercury found in any commercially available fish. The reason this is so critical after 60 comes down to one of your most vital yet vulnerable organs, your kidneys. Mercury is a known nephrotoxin, a scientific term meaning it is poisonous to your kidneys. As we've already discussed, your kidneys' filtration power naturally declines as you age. A 2018 study published in the National Library of Medicine made a crucial point. Aged kidneys, which may not be functioning at full capacity, are fundamentally more sensitive and more susceptible to the damaging effects of mercury than younger, healthier kidneys. So when you eat a fish this high in mercury, you're not just consuming a toxin, you're forcing an already strained filtration system to work overtime against a poison that directly targets it. Think of George, a 74-year-old retiree from Louisiana. He loved fishing in the Gulf and proudly ate what he caught, including tilefish. Over time, he began to experience a deep, unusual fatigue and noticed his ankles were swelling. His doctor ran some tests and found his kidney function was declining much faster than normal aging would suggest. His diet, rich in local predatory fish like tilefish, was identified as a primary suspect. The simple swap? If you enjoy a mild, flaky white fish, choose pollock or cod instead. Both are on the FDA's best choices list for their consistently low mercury content, making them a much safer option for your kidneys. The bottom line is clear. Given the direct threat to your body's essential filtration system, tilefish from the Gulf of Mexico is a risk that is simply not worth taking. The third fish to avoid is a restaurant favorite, swordfish. It's often called the steak of the sea for its meaty, firm texture. It feels like a premium, healthy indulgence when you see it on a menu, grilled to perfection. But this large, long-lived predator has spent decades swimming the oceans, eating smaller fish and accumulating their toxins. This process, called biomagnification, means that the mercury from thousands of smaller fish becomes concentrated in the swordfish's body over its long life. The result? The average mercury load in swordfish is dangerously high, consistently landing it on the FDA's Do Not Eat list, alongside shark and king mackerel. For anyone over 60, this poses a direct and insidious threat to the one thing you value most, your cognitive sharpness. The form of mercury in fish, methylmercury, has a unique and dangerous ability to cross the blood-brain barrier. Once inside your brain, it acts as a potent neurotoxin. Research from the journal Advances in Neurotoxicology shows that it can disrupt the critical glutamate signaling pathways your brain cells use to communicate, effectively causing static on the line. The real-world consequences of this can be devastating. A startling case study was published in a 2020 medical journal detailing the story of a 91-year-old man who had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. His family and doctors were astonished to find that his cognitive impairment, his memory, and his daily function significantly improved after he simply stopped eating high-mercury fish like swordfish, and his body's mercury levels declined. Consider Linda, a 68-year-old retired teacher from Florida. She prided herself on her sharp mind and her ability to do the daily crossword in ink. But recently, she started experiencing those frustrating senior moments far too often. A persistent brain fog, forgetting the names of former students she'd known for years. She ate grilled swordfish every Friday night, believing it was the epitome of a healthy, heart-smart diet. Her story is a powerful and cautionary tale of how even the best intentions, without the right information, can lead to unintended and heartbreaking consequences. For a meaty, satisfying fish that's perfect for the grill, the superior swap is wild-caught salmon. It gives you that substantial texture, but is packed with brain-protecting omega-3 fatty acids and is consistently low in mercury. To protect your brain, your memories, and your clarity of thought, swordfish must be off the menu. The potential cognitive cost is simply too high. Coming in at number 2 on our list of fish to avoid is king mackerel. It's very important to distinguish this from its smaller, safer cousin, Atlantic mackerel. King mackerel is a large, predatory fish, especially popular in the southern United States, where it's often smoked or grilled. The danger with this fish is targeted directly at your cardiovascular system. We're all told by organizations like the American Heart Association to eat fish to protect our hearts, but in a tragic irony, choosing king mackerel does the exact opposite. It is another fish that the FDA warns consumers to avoid completely due to its extremely high mercury levels. The mechanism of damage is insidious. A wealth of research has now directly linked mercury exposure to significant cardiovascular harm. A comprehensive 2012 review published in the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health analyzed numerous studies and found a strong correlation between mercury exposure and an increased risk of hypertension, myocardial infarction, heart attack, and coronary dysfunction. It works by promoting oxidative stress, a kind of biological rust that damages the delicate inner lining of your blood vessels, an area known as the endothelium. This damage can lead to inflammation and plaque buildup, the very foundation of heart disease. For a senior who may already be managing blood pressure or has concerns about their heart health, consuming a fish loaded with this specific cardiotoxin is like pouring fuel on a fire. Let me tell you about Robert, a 72-year-old from Texas. He had his blood pressure well managed with medication and diet. But one summer, he developed a taste for smoked king mackerel from a local market and began eating it regularly. Over the next few months, his blood pressure readings started to creep up, and neither he nor his doctor could figure out why. Finally, his cardiologist, who was aware of the research on heavy metals, asked about his fish consumption. Robert was advised to cut out the king mackerel immediately. Within a few months of eliminating that one food, his blood pressure numbers stabilized back to their normal range. The better swap is simple and delicious. If you want an oily, flavorful fish, choose Atlantic mackerel instead. It is on the FDA's best choices list, is packed with heart-healthy omega-3 fatty acids, and is very low in mercury. For the sake of your heart and your entire cardiovascular system, you must say no to king mackerel and instead choose its much safer and far more beneficial relative. And now, the number one most toxic fish you should avoid at all costs after 60, shark. You might be thinking, I don't eat shark, but you might be without even realizing it. It's often sold under deceptive names like flake, dogfish, or rock salmon, and is commonly used in fish and chips, seafood stews, and even some processed fish products. As the apex predator of the ocean, the shark sits at the very top of the marine food chain. For millions of years, this has made it a symbol of power. But in today's polluted world, it makes the shark the ultimate accumulator of toxins. This isn't just about mercury anymore. It's about a dangerous cocktail of industrial chemicals that have been dumped into our oceans for decades. Of course, sharks bioaccumulate the highest levels of mercury of almost any creature in the sea, which is why the FDA has them at the top of the do not eat list. But the danger goes much, much deeper. Scientific studies of shark meat have found alarming levels of other toxic heavy metals, including arsenic and lead. Beyond that, because many toxins are stored in fat, sharks are notorious for having high concentrations of a class of chemicals called polychlorinated biphenyls, or PCBs. PCBs are nasty industrial chemicals that were banned in the United States back in the 1970s, but they are incredibly persistent in the environment, settling in ocean sediments and working their way up the food chain. Both the CDC and the Department of Veterans Affairs have linked PCB exposure to liver damage, immune system dysfunction, and have classified them as probable human carcinogens. For a senior's immune system and metabolic processes, which are already working harder, this multi-toxin threat represents a significant and unnecessary burden. This isn't just a hypothetical risk. It's a real-world problem for coastal communities where shark is a dietary staple, leading to documented health issues from long-term consumption. There is no safe swap for an apex predator. The only logical alternative is to do the opposite. Choose small, short-lived fish from the very bottom of the food chain. Think of fish like sardines or anchovies. The bottom line is this. Shark meat represents the highest toxic load you can get from the sea. It is, without question, the number one fish to avoid at all costs for your health and peace of mind. Okay, let's take a breath. Hearing about toxins like mercury and PCBs in your food can be unsettling, especially when you've been trying so hard to eat healthy. We've just covered the 4 fish to avoid: tilefish for your kidneys, swordfish for your brain, king mackerel for your heart, and shark as the ultimate toxic accumulator. But I don't want you to leave this video feeling fearful of all fish. I want you to feel empowered, because knowledge is power. By simply removing these 4 fish from your diet, you've already taken a massive step toward protecting your long-term health and vitality. You are now more informed than the vast majority of people walking into the grocery store. Now we're going to shift from what to avoid to what to embrace. We're going to turn our attention to the fish that act as powerful medicine for your body after 60. These are the fish that fight back against aging. But first, let's quickly bust a very common myth that causes a lot of confusion and anxiety at the fish counter. The big debate: farmed versus wild salmon. You've heard it all. Farmed is full of chemicals and dyes. Wild is the only healthy choice. There's no real difference. So what is the truth? Let's cut through the noise and look at the facts. Nutritionally, both can be excellent sources of those critical omega-3 fatty acids. In fact, some analyses show that because their diet is controlled and enriched, certain farmed salmon can actually have a higher omega-3 content than their wild counterparts. The main concern people have is about contaminants. It's true that in the past, some fish farms had issues with pollutants, like PCBs. However, modern aquaculture, especially from reputable sources in places like Norway or the US, is now strictly regulated by bodies like the FDA and EPA to ensure safety. A landmark analysis by researchers at the Harvard School of Public Health put this risk into perspective. They calculated that the immense cardiovascular benefits of eating farmed salmon twice a week would prevent at least 7,000 deaths from heart disease for every 24 potential cancer deaths from trace PCBs. That is a risk-benefit ratio that is overwhelmingly in favor of eating the fish. And what about the color? Wild salmon get their pink hue from eating krill and shrimp containing a natural antioxidant called astaxanthin. Farmed salmon get that exact same color because astaxanthin is added to their feed. It's not an artificial dye, it's the same compound. The bottom line is this: while wild-caught salmon is a fantastic choice, a high-quality farmed salmon from a reputable source is a safe, nutritious, and often more affordable way to get your essential omega-3s. The most important thing is that you eat the salmon, rather than avoiding this incredible health food out of confusion. Now let's dive into the best part: the 4 healing fish you should be eating regularly. Kicking off our best list at number 4 is a fish that's often overlooked but is a true champion for seniors: rainbow trout. Specifically, farmed rainbow trout is an excellent choice. According to the Monterey Bay Aquarium Seafood Watch, it's one of the best options for both sustainability and safety, because it's typically raised in protected freshwater ponds and raceways, shielding it from the ocean contaminants that plague many wild species. Trout is a fantastic source of high-quality, easily digestible lean protein, and it's a very solid provider of omega-3s. These omega-3s are powerful anti-inflammatory agents. We now know that chronic, low-grade inflammation is a key driver of nearly every age-related disease, from the aches and pains of arthritis to the progression of heart disease. The fatty acids in trout help to calm the systemic inflammation at a cellular level. A fascinating 2020 study from Tufts University actually looked at how the two main omega-3s, EPA and DHA, work differently. They found that EPA was particularly effective at improving the balance between pro-inflammatory and anti-inflammatory proteins in the body. In essence, it helps your immune system regulate itself more effectively, preventing it from staying in a constant state of high alert. Think of Mary, a 68-year-old from Colorado who struggled with terrible morning stiffness in her hands and knees. Frustrated, she decided to change her diet, swapping her usual fried fish for baked rainbow trout twice a week. Over the course of a few months, she was amazed to notice a marked improvement in her mobility and significantly less daily discomfort, which she credits to the powerful anti-inflammatory effects of her new diet. Integrating trout is easy. It's a delicate fish that cooks very quickly. A simple preparation is best to protect its healthy fats. Just drizzle a fillet with a little olive oil, squeeze some fresh lemon juice over it, and sprinkle with herbs like dill or parsley. Bake it at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for about 12 to 15 minutes, and you have a perfect, easy, and healing weeknight meal. Our third best fish is Atlantic mackerel. Now, let me be perfectly clear. This is not the king mackerel from our danger list. That's a large, high-mercury predator. Atlantic mackerel is its smaller, safer, and incredibly beneficial relative. It's an oily fish that is a true superfood and one of the most concentrated natural sources of omega-3s you can find anywhere. The standout benefit here is powerful targeted inflammation control. The omega-3s in mackerel, particularly DHA, have a profound anti-inflammatory effect. The same Tufts University study highlighted in Science Daily showed that while EPA was great for balance, DHA had a stronger, more direct effect, significantly lowering the genetic expression of 4 different types of pro-inflammatory proteins. This is absolutely crucial for anyone over 60. Unchecked inflammation doesn't just cause joint pain. It damages the lining of your blood vessels, contributing to heart disease, and is now understood to be a major factor in cognitive decline. The National Institutes of Health explains that omega-3 fatty acids work by inhibiting key inflammatory pathways in the body, such as cyclooxygenase or COX activity. This is the very same pathway that common anti-inflammatory drugs like ibuprofen and aspirin target. In a way, eating Atlantic mackerel is like getting a gentle, natural, whole food anti-inflammatory with every single bite. Consider David, a 75-year-old with a family history of heart problems. His doctor recommended he adopt a Mediterranean-style diet with a strong focus on oily fish. He started grilling Atlantic mackerel once a week. At his next checkup, both he and his doctor were thrilled to see that his triglyceride levels, a key marker for heart disease risk, had dropped significantly, a direct benefit that has been strongly linked in clinical research to a high intake of omega-3s. Atlantic mackerel has a rich, satisfying flavor that holds up well to bold seasonings. It's fantastic on the grill with a bit of mustard and lemon, or you can buy it smoked and flake it into a healthy salad. A little goes a long way to protecting your health. Coming in at number 2 is a fish that many people overlook, but it is one of the most powerful, affordable, and safest foods you can possibly eat. The humble sardine. These tiny fish are nutritional giants. Because they are small and sit at the very bottom of the food chain, they feed on plankton, not other fish. This means they have virtually no time or opportunity to accumulate mercury, making them one of the cleanest and safest seafood choices available. But their real power for seniors lies in their ability to act as a shield against frailty and a loss of independence. First, they are absolutely packed with heart-healthy omega-3s. But what makes them unique is that you typically eat the whole fish, including the tiny, soft, edible bones. This makes them an incredible source of two nutrients critical for fighting osteoporosis: bone-building calcium and the vitamin D needed to absorb that calcium. At the same time, sardines provide a huge dose of high-quality protein, which is essential for maintaining muscle mass and fighting off sarcopenia, the age-related muscle loss that is the direct cause of frailty and loss of independence. The evidence for this is growing stronger every year. A 2023 review published in the journal Nutrients analyzed the existing research and concluded that omega-3s likely improve musculoskeletal health related to sarcopenia, showing positive effects on muscle mass, strength, and physical performance. Another compelling study in the Journal of the American Medical Directors Association looked at older adults and found that those with higher blood levels of omega-3s were significantly less likely to be frail. Think of Eleanor, an 81-year-old from Maine who was starting to worry about her balance and strength. Her daughter suggested a simple lunch a few times a week: sardines mashed on a piece of whole grain toast. It was an easy, inexpensive change, but Eleanor feels it has contributed to her ability to continue her daily walks with more confidence and stability. The easiest way to eat them is right out of the can, packed in olive oil or water. Match them on toast with a squeeze of lemon and a crack of black pepper, or toss them into a salad or a pasta dish for a massive nutrient boost. And now, we've arrived at our number one healing fish, the one I promised you at the beginning of this video. For many, it won't be a surprise, but the specific reasons why it's number one for your health after 60 are critically important and not widely understood. The number one fish to eat is wild-caught salmon. Salmon is the ultimate weapon in the fight to preserve your cognitive legacy. Your brain is nearly 60% fat, and it has a special preference for one specific type of omega-3 fatty acid, DHA. Wild salmon is one of the richest natural sources of DHA on the entire planet. DHA isn't just fuel for your brain, it's a fundamental structural component. It is literally part of the building blocks of your brain's cell membranes. It keeps those membranes fluid and flexible, which is essential for allowing your nerve cells to send and receive signals effectively. Consuming enough DHA is like ensuring the wiring in your brain's complex electrical grid stays in perfect working order, preventing slowdowns and short circuits. The scientific evidence for this is simply compelling. A major 2023 meta-analysis published in the journal Nutrients reviewed numerous studies and found that higher fish consumption was consistently associated with a lower risk of cognitive impairment and decline in older adults. And then there's the study I mentioned earlier, the Cardiovascular Health Cognition Study, published in the prestigious journal Neurology, followed thousands of seniors. It found that for individuals who did not carry the ApoE4 gene, a known genetic risk factor for Alzheimer's, consuming fatty fish like salmon more than twice a week was associated with an incredible 41% reduction in the risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. Furthermore, a long-term study of older adults in China found that eating fish just once a week predicted a significantly slower rate of decline in memory scores over a 5-year period. Think of communities in places like coastal Alaska or Scandinavia, where salmon is a dietary staple. Researchers often study these populations because their lifelong diet provides a real-world example of the profound protective power of this incredible fish. The American Heart Association recommends 2 3.5-ounce servings of fatty fish like salmon per week. The best way to cook it is gently. Baking, broiling, or poaching helps to preserve those delicate, heat-sensitive omega-3 fats. One of the easiest and healthiest methods is the en papillote, or parchment packet method. Place a salmon fillet on a piece of parchment paper, top it with some lemon slices, asparagus spears, and a drizzle of olive oil. Fold the parchment into a sealed packet and bake at 400 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes. It steams in its own juices, creating a perfectly cooked, brain-boosting meal with almost no cleanup. So, as we've seen today, the fish you put on your plate after 60 represents a critical choice. On one hand, it can be a source of brain-damaging neurotoxins that your aging body struggles to clear. On the other, it can be a powerful source of healing nutrients that protect your mind, strengthen your body, and preserve your precious independence. Aging well is not about luck. It's about making informed choices day after day. The power is in your hands and on your fork. You now have the specific knowledge that most people don't, the knowledge of which fish to avoid and which to embrace to build a more resilient body and mind. Don't feel like you have to change everything overnight. The choice is yours. Do one thing this week. Look at the worst list and remove one of those fish if it's in your diet. Then, look at the best list and replace it with one healing option. That one small swap is a powerful vote for your future health. Which fish on our list surprised you the most today? Was it one you are eating regularly, or one you'll now add to your shopping list? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this information valuable, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more research-backed reports to help you thrive in your best years. Stay strong, and I'll see you in the next video.